Listen closely, because what you're about to hear is not an ordinary statement or a passing thought. This is not a motivational speech or a human suggestion. It is a divine declaration. God has spoken, and His words have authority beyond time and circumstance. He said, you will be a billionaire. When the voice of God is released, reality itself must realign. Every element of creation begins to shift in obedience to His command. Right now, it may not look possible. Your bank account might argue against it. Your environment might contradict it. But divine words don't depend on visible evidence. The moment God said it, it was already settled in the spiritual realm. It's written in heaven's record, sealed with divine authority. When God declares your future, He does not seek approval from your past. He does not consult your mistakes, your failures, or your qualifications. He does not need your resume, your status, or your background to decide your destiny. He does not ask permission from anyone to bless you. When God says you will be a billionaire, He isn't predicting a possibility. He is issuing a decree. The same voice that once commanded, "Let there be light," is now saying over your life, "Let there be abundance." And when that voice reverberates through eternity, everything that once resisted you begins to yield. Closed doors open. Hidden opportunities reveal themselves. Lost resources find their way back to you because a divine instruction has gone forth. There are moments when God releases a word so powerful that even the earth must respond. When He chooses to elevate someone, He doesn't wait for human approval. When He decides to bless a person, no curse, no opposition, no envy, and no obstacle can stop it. God declared that you will be a billionaire, not for arrogance, not to glorify wealth, but to demonstrate His power through your abundance. When a righteous person rises in prosperity, God's name is magnified through that success. You must understand this. Divine blessing is not the product of effort alone. It flows from divine favor. The world teaches you to grind harder, compete more, and chase endlessly. But when God speaks prosperity into your destiny, it is not your sweat that produces it. It is His Spirit that delivers it. What's coming your way isn't logical. It's supernatural. God is raising billionaires not from elite circles, but from hidden places, from the humble, the overlooked, the faithful ones who dare to believe even when everything around them said impossible. Many people misunderstand wealth. They think it's only about money, but true wealth is the expression of divine abundance. It's the overflow of God's purpose made visible. When God says you will be a billionaire, He's talking about influence, capacity, and impact, the ability to build, restore, bless, and transform. Billionaire is not just a financial label. It is a spiritual assignment, a covenant calling. You must prepare yourself for what has been spoken. Every divine promise carries a divine weight. $1 billion blessing requires $1 billion heart. Many desire the crown, but reject the cross of discipline, faith, and trust. Remember, divine wealth is not granted to those who chase money, but to those who chase God. Money serves purpose. It does not define it. When God sees that you will not let wealth control you, He commands wealth to serve you. There will be seasons of silence before manifestation. Moments when your faith will be tested before fortune is entrusted. God will ask you to believe even when there is nothing visible to hold on to. Because faith is heaven's currency. It funds the reality that your eyes have yet to see. You cannot withdraw blessings from heaven without first depositing faith into it. When God declared you a billionaire, He wasn't testing your knowledge. He was testing your belief. Can you believe His word even when your reality seems to deny it? Can you stand firm when others mock you? Every billionaire chosen by God must first be broken by God. Brokenness always precedes elevation. The vessel must be emptied before it can be filled. Don't despise your current season of lack. It is the classroom of preparation. God is teaching you the language of abundance through the lessons of scarcity. He is refining your character so that when the floodgates of blessing open, pride won't destroy you. He's purging greed, envy, fear, and impatience from your heart so that when increase comes, your spirit remains pure. The promise of God never fails. Time cannot erase it. Delay cannot cancel it. Doubt cannot silence it. When God said you will be a billionaire, that word became eternal. It cannot die, it will live until it becomes reality. And when the appointed time arrives, you will look back and see that every opportunity, every setback, every loss, and every pain was part of the divine design for your success. God wastes nothing. Even your struggles are investments in the kingdom's economy. But listen carefully. Before that promise manifests, your mind must align with it. If God has declared that you will be a billionaire, you cannot continue thinking like a beggar. You cannot speak the language of fear or move with the hesitation of someone uncertain of destiny. You must rise in your mentality. Because prosperity begins in perception. God blesses according to the level of revelation you carry. You cannot receive what you cannot first believe. The limits of your thoughts become the limits of your manifestation. When you think small, you insult the greatness of God. When you think big, you honor His majesty. Stop asking how. It is not your job to calculate God's method. He is the same God who brought water out of rock, oil out of jars, and manna out of the sky. He operates through faith, not formulas. Your role is not to analyze, but to align. You don't need to know the route when you trust the guide. You don't need to know the equation when you know the source. If God said you will be a billionaire, your duty is to act, speak, and live as though it's already done. Every step of obedience is a declaration of faith. Be intentional with your words because your mouth is the pen that writes your destiny. Stop speaking lack and doubt. Stop repeating the vocabulary of limitation. Begin to speak the language of abundance. Say, I am what God says I am. I have what God says I have. I will see what God says I will see. Each time you declare that, you are aligning the atmosphere with the divine reality. Words are seeds, and whatever you plant with your tongue will grow. Speak faith, and faith will multiply. Speak wealth, and wealth will manifest. Understand this God's plan to make you a billionaire is not for luxury, but for legacy. It's not about displaying riches. It's about demonstrating His power. You are being positioned to fund the dreams, to build schools, to feed the hungry, to restore hope, to prove that the blessings of God are real. Through your wealth, the world will see that obedience does not lead to poverty, that righteousness is not weakness, that walking with God is not limitation. Your success will be a testimony that God is not a theory but living power. The world has seen billionaires made through manipulation and greed. But now God is raising a new kind of billionaires born of righteousness, whose prosperity is rooted in integrity and sustained by prayer. Their wealth will not be fueled by pride, but by purpose. God is rewriting the story of wealth. He's proving that greatness does not belong only to the deceitful, but also to the devoted. He is declaring, I can lift anyone as long as their heart belongs to me. You are one of those people. You are that vessel chosen to display His abundance. Guard your heart in this journey, because wealth attracts attention. When your success comes, some will celebrate you, others will envy you, and a few will misunderstand you. But remember, your calling is divine, not social. You owe no explanation for walking in God's instruction. Do not measure your progress through comparison. Others more slowly. Divine timing is not delay, it is precision. God is not. Every step you take is part of His perfect coordination. Even when you feel behind, He is aligning the right connections, opportunities, and resources for your manifestation. You are not late, you are being prepared. The promise will not arrive a day early or a day late. It will come at the exact moment you are mature enough to handle it. Those around you may doubt, your friends may mock, and your family may not understand. But that doesn't matter when heaven has already affirmed you. Every no from people becomes irrelevant once God has said yes. So walk boldly, speak confidently, and carry yourself with the dignity of destiny. And when the day comes, and it will, you will stand before the world as undeniable proof that God keeps His word. Your story will silence mockers and awaken faith in others. They will ask how you did it. And your answer will be simple. God said it, and I believed. That is the true secret of success, not strategy, not skill, but surrender. Because divine wealth is never an accident. It is the fulfillment of a covenant. You are not chasing riches. You are fulfilling prophecy. You are walking out the script that heaven wrote long before you were born. Every challenge you face is confirmation of how valuable your destiny is. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. When God speaks abundance over you, He isn't describing a possibility. He is revealing your destiny. You are not hoping for wealth. You are walking toward what's already established in eternity. God's promises are not like human words that shift with emotion or time. When He declares something, it becomes law in the unseen realm. The instant he said you would be a billionaire, your future began to change. Invisible forces started aligning in your favor. The winds of destiny began to blow toward you. And even though you can't see it yet, everything is quietly moving beneath the surface. The unseen hand of God is rearranging situations, redirecting people, and rebuilding opportunities just to fulfill what He spoke over your life. But you must remember this truth: wealth without wisdom destroys, while wealth with divine direction transforms. God never releases abundance into unprepared hands. Before He fills your account, He strengthens your character. Before He multiplies your resources, He matures your heart. The higher you rise, the deeper your roots must go. Wealth doesn't change you. It reveals who you already are. That's why God refines you before He elevates you. Hardship is not punishment, it's polish. Through trials, He tests your patience, purifies your motives, and solidifies your loyalty. He asks one question again and again: will you still trust me when nothing around you looks like what I promised? It's easy to believe when everything is visible, but true faith is proven when you cling to His word in darkness. This is the reason many people never rise financially. They want the blessing, but reject the process. They pray for abundance, yet ignore divine instruction. God is not seeking dreamers who merely talk about wealth. He is searching for doers who align with His principles. Every divine promise carries a divine condition. You cannot live carelessly and expect heavenly reward. God blesses obedience, not inconsistency. He prospers those who walk in integrity, who give even when it hurts, who trust Him with their substance. When you make God your priority, He makes abundance your inheritance. He will teach you the economy of faith. The principle that supernatural supply flows not from what you hold, but from what you release. The world says, hold tightly, protect your wealth. But God says, give freely, and I will multiply. He's not trying to take from you, He's preparing to increase you. Every time you sow into others, bless the poor, or invest in good causes, you activate divine multiplication. What leaves your hand never leaves your life. It enters your future. God records every seed, every generous act, every sacrifice, and at the appointed time, He transforms it into overflowing reward. You must train your vision to see beyond the physical, because the natural realm is not the final reality. It is only a reflection of the spiritual. Poverty begins in the mind before it ever appears in the wallet. And likewise, prosperity begins in faith before it shows in finances. You cannot live rich in spirit and stay poor in manifestation. The world is designed to respond to faith. What you truly believe becomes what you eventually see. This is why your inner world, your thoughts, your words, your meditations must be guarded. They are the architects of your destiny. When God gives a promise, the enemy always whispers doubt. He'll tell you that you are unqualified, too late, or not capable enough. But remember, God never chooses the qualified. He qualifies the chosen. He already calculated your weaknesses, failures, and imperfections when He made His decree. None of them disqualify you. In fact, they highlight His power. Because when you rise, it will be undeniable that it was His hand that lifted you, not your ability. Do not let small minds limit your faith. Some people will tell you it's wrong to desire wealth, that you should settle for less. They fail to understand that divine abundance isn't greed, it's a purpose. God blesses His people so they can become channels of transformation and pillars of generosity. How can you feed the hungry without provision? How can you build schools, homes, or hospitals without resources? Wealth is a divine tool for compassion. God gives it to those whose hearts are anchored in love, not pride. You are blessed to be a blessing. You are chosen to carry abundance so others can see His goodness through you. There will be times when you feel nothing is changing, when your faith feels weak and your progress invisible. But remember, God works in silence. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface. The waiting season is not a wasting season. It's a shaping one. God is building your endurance so that when the blessing comes, you can sustain it. Many people receive a prosperity they cannot manage because they skip the preparation. Don't rush what God is perfecting. His timing is flawless. When He releases your breakthrough, it will be so overwhelming that you'll understand why He made you wait. When that moment arrives, never forget the source. Wealth can be deceiving. It can make people forget the one who gave it. The moment you detach from God, you begin to decline. Stay humble. Stay connected. Never let success separate you from surrender. When your hands are full, keep your heart empty of pride. When you sit among the powerful, remember the days you prayed in silence. Gratitude protects the blessing, and the humility sustains it. God is not limited by systems, economies, or human connections. He does not depend on markets, networks, or influence to bless you. All He needs is your faith. He can use a single idea, one conversation, or even a stranger to shift your destiny. Stop trying to figure out the method. Focus on the master. When your trust is fully anchored in Him, He will surprise you with a sudden acceleration. In a single day, He can rewrite your entire story. In one moment, He can erase years of struggle. You do not serve a God of gradual changes only. You serve a God of sudden miracles. But understand this truth. Whenever divine wealth is about to manifest, there is always spiritual warfare attached. As God prepares to lift you, the enemy will try to distract you through confusion, temptation, fear, or fatigue. Not because the opposition is strong, but because your destiny threatens his agenda. The enemy fears what will happen when a God-fearing billionaire rises, one who funds light, truth, and hope. That is why you must protect your mind and your peace. Guard your focus as if it were treasure, because distraction is the thief of destiny. Stay fixed on what God said, not what people say. Critics will appear. Mockers will laugh. Some will call you delusional. Others will call you proud. But they were not there when God whispered your future into your heart. They cannot understand what was never revealed to them. Walk quietly but confidently. Let your results speak for you. A time will come when those who mocked you will seek your wisdom. Those who doubted you will ask for your guidance. God will use your success to silence disbelief. And when you finally step into overflow, remember, money is not the master. It is the messenger. It's not the destination, it's the tool. Use it to reflect God's heart. Bring light where there is darkness, healing where there is pain, and hope where there is despair. Build with it, restore with it, empower others with it. You were not called merely to be rich. You were called to be impactful. Wealth is the language through which your purpose will speak. Never forget this. Every divine promise carries within it the power to fulfill itself. You don't need to force it through worry or fear. God's word contains the energy required to bring itself to pass. Just as a seed contains the tree within it, the word of God carries your abundance inside it. Your responsibility is to nurture that word through faith, to keep believing even when you see nothing happening. Faith is the soil where divine promises grow. When God decides to lift a person into abundance, He doesn't check the balance of their account. He checks the depth of their trust. He doesn't look at your title or your family name. He looks at your heart. The wealth He is about to release into your life isn't man-made, it's a divine transfer. There are treasures hidden for generations, waiting for the right heart to receive them. There are doors locked for centuries, waiting for one voice of faith to speak the key. When God said you would be a billionaire, He was announcing to heaven and earth that you are that chosen vessel. But understand this, the making of a billionaire in God's kingdom isn't just financial, it's spiritual. He enlarges your inner world. He changes your perspective before He changes your position. He matures your spirit before He multiplies your resources. Wealth without direction is like a power without purpose. It becomes dangerous and short-lived. That's why God allows fire before gold. He isn't delaying you. She's defining you. She isn't withholding your blessing. She's protecting it until you are ready. There's something sacred about divine timing. Many people sabotage their blessings by trying to rush what only God can release. You can't fast forward a divine promise. You can only prepare for it. No amount of impatience can make it arrive early. And no opposition can make it arrive late. When the time is right, everything will align with perfect precision. The day will come when what you prayed for will suddenly appear, and you'll understand why it took so long. God was synchronizing every detail of destiny. Right now, your journey may not look glamorous. You might be surrounded by pressure, uncertainty, and misunderstanding. But remember, God begins His masterpieces in hidden places. Diamonds are not formed in light, but in darkness, under pressure. So if you're in a dark season, don't curse the process. Something priceless is being formed within you. Every delay, every test, every closed door is shaping your capacity to handle what's coming. Don't envy those who rise faster. Some climb ladders built by men. Others are lifted by the hand of God. What man builds can fall overnight, but what God establishes lasts forever. The wealth coming your way will not fade because it's rooted in purpose. You won't just be rich, you'll be relevant. You won't just hold influence, you'll carry spiritual authority. You must begin to see yourself not as the owner of what's coming, but as the custodian of it. What God gives you is not for worship, but for stewardship. You are not the source, you are the channel. The moment you realize that God gives through you, not just to you, that's when your capacity becomes limitless. When your motives align with the divine purpose, heaven's resources flow without resistance. God entrusts wealth to those who use it to extend His goodness, not their ego. But understand this too. Divine wealth will test you. It will test your humility, your focus, your relationship, because wealth magnifies what's already inside you. If greed hides in your heart, wealth will expose it. If pride lurks within, prosperity will amplify it. But if gratitude lives in you, abundance will multiply it. That's why you must stay low before God, even as He lifts you high before man. The higher He raises you, the deeper you must bow. Remember who sustained you when no one saw you, who opened the doors you never knocked on, who carried you when you had nothing. Gratitude protects favor. Humility preserves it. When God's promise begins to unfold, opportunities will appear out of nowhere. Ideas will flow effortlessly. People will be drawn to you, not by coincidence, but by divine magnetism. Favor will begin to precede you. Your name will be mentioned in rooms you've never entered. And when you finally arrive, everything will already be prepared for you. That's how God works. He goes before those He has chosen. But in the midst of success, protect your peace. Many rise, but few remain steady. True wealth isn't about the absence of problems. It's about divine stability. When storms come, wealth built on pride collapses, but wealth built on faith stands unshaken. God will teach you to remain content in plenty and patient in scarcity. He will remind you that peace is the highest currency. When you have a peace with God, everything else aligns naturally. Even in prosperity, you must keep listening for God's voice. Sometimes abundance becomes louder than wisdom. The noise of success can drown the whisper of direction. Never let your growth silence your dependence. The same voice that led you through wilderness must guide you through wealth. Stay sensitive. Stay teachable. Because one wrong decision, one wrong partnership, or one moment of pride can destroy what took years to build. But if you remain anchored in divine instruction, your wealth won't just come, it will remain and multiply across generations. Many will try to imitate your results without your relationship. They'll copy your methods, but not your devotion. They'll chase your fruit, but ignore your root. Let them. What divine cannot be duplicated without surrender. The secret to your success is not strategy, it's submission. What works for you isn't a formula, it's a covenant. God lifts those who yield completely, not those who calculate selectively. Don't be surprised when people leave you during the process. God removes distractions before He releases distinction. He isolates before He elevates. Some departures are divine pruning. You may cry over who left, but one day you will thank God for who didn't stay to block your next level. Every loss is making space for new growth. Wealth is influence, and influence is responsibility. When you rise, others will look to you for direction, for inspiration, for hope. God is shaping you to be a light, not a spotlight that draws attention to itself, but a lighthouse that guides others safely home. That's your calling. Your wealth will become a signal of what faith can produce, a living sermon louder than words. You will prove that trusting God is never in vain. Your life will become evidence that obedience is rewarded, prayer is answered, and humility is exalted. So, as you walk forward, do not let fear govern your steps. Fear has never built anything eternal. It is the language of limitation, while faith is the language of dominion. Think of faith, speak faith, live faith. When you move in faith, heaven moves with you. Each step of obedience triggers acceleration. Soon, everything God promised will stand before your eyes. The wealth, the opportunities, the expansion, the impact. And in that moment, you will see that every tear, every delay, every misunderstanding had a purpose. Every closed door was protection. Every hardship was construction. You will stand in awe, not of what you achieved, but of what God accomplished through you. And you'll understand that the true billionaire isn't the one with the fullest account, but the one filled with the most peace, purpose, and presence of God. Your hands may carry gold, but your heart must carry gratitude. Your account may overflow, but your soul must remain anchored in humility. This is the hour where prophecy becomes reality, where the word God spoke begins to breathe in your life. Every promise will mature. Every dream will take shape. Every vision will come alive. So, walk with confidence, speak with authority, and live with conviction, because heaven has already settled your story. You will be a billionaire, not for vanity, but for victory, not for luxury, but for legacy, not for display, but for destiny. And when the world sees your success, they will know your secret. It was not chance, not power, not intellect. It was God, and God alone. So move forward with courage. The path may test you, but the promise will triumph. What God has decreed cannot be undone. Think greatly. Give generously. Remain humble, because every blessing, every opportunity, and every breath of success will echo one eternal truth. God alone is the source, the sustainer, and the finisher of your destiny.